Joining me is Tom Galligan, the president of Colby Sawyer College. So Tom, I want you to reflect a little bit and move out of Colby Sawyer specifically and think about sort of the challenges that small private schools face. And I think each one will tackle them in their own way. But I just want to get a sense of, you had to have thought about these issues, and whether they're regulatory or demographic or social, or even regional. What are the key challenges that every small, not super endowed private college is going to face over the next 10 years?
Yeah, I would say the first one is resources. I say I don't have any problems that money wouldn't solve. Resources are really the major issue for small, independent, private schools that are tuition dependent.
And does that really press to me also I hear that tuitions are going up faster than the rate of inflation. I mean, that's got to connect to that too, right?
It does connect to that, but as you know, what's also going up faster than, or what has gone up faster than the rate of inflation, and even faster than the increase in tuitions, has been the financial aid that small independent colleges provide. If we give a $10,000 scholarship at Colby Sawyer College, odds are that's essentially a discount in price. If my alma mater, Stanford, gives that $10,000 scholarship, what's happening is somebody in an office somewhere who manages the endowment is writing a $10,000 check to the academic area. So there really is the money to spend on the education. At a place like Colby Sawyer, that scholarship is really essentially tuition discounted.
And that's true for almost all small private colleges.
That is true for almost all. The only ones that's not true for are the most highly selective small private colleges, the ones with the 50 schools with the names and endowments of which we are aware. So resources, number one, is the primary issue. Is people cannot afford the cost of college. Now, one thing we've done at Colby Sawyer to deal with that is we've created what we call a price, promise, and graduation guarantee. And if you come to Colby Sawyer and you live on campus and you maintain a 2.0 and you meet with your advisor, we promise you your tuition and your room and board will not go up for the 4 years that you're here. And if you don't graduate in 4 years, and that's our fault, we canceled a class, something went wrong, then you won't pay tuition at Colby Sawyer until you graduate. So that's one of the ways that we're trying to manage the cost of education. Demographics is another huge challenge. The population of high school students in New England, which is our traditional recruitment basin, is going down. It's going down in New Hampshire. It's going down in Massachusetts. It's going down in Vermont. It has fallen off the cliff in Maine. It's going down less steeply, but it's going down in Connecticut. So that means we're competing even more aggressively for a smaller group of students.
And that means you're competing further and further from home.
You got it. And I think that in New England, I sort of have this notion that we were able to sit back on our laurels, because from 1850 to probably 1980, when people thought about college, they thought about New England. Maybe a few thought of Pennsylvania and a couple thought of Ohio, but they wanted to be in New England. And I think we sat back and rested on that. Well, the truth of the matter is now, they want to go somewhere else, and what we've got to do is convince kids in Florida, in Texas, in California, in Washington, in Oregon, how great it is to go to school and live in New England.
So one last thing, is the federal government helping or hurting small colleges?
They're not helping. I think they're not helping in several ways. One is the regulatory burden is intense. We have to comply with federal regulation the same way the University of New Hampshire has to comply with federal regulation. So the regulatory burden is intense. And another way they're not helping is that as flagship state schools have become more selective and have become schools of choice for a lot of high achieving students, we small independent colleges have become the places of opportunity. We've become the places where folks who want to be in the middle class, who want to push their horizons out for generations to come, this is where they come, and nobody is helping them achieve the way we are. And I think there's a governmental role there, and I think there's a fantastic opportunity for foundations and philanthropy, because schools like us, we make the world a better place through the education we provide to our students.
And with that, we've got an interview. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us on this edition of Capital Connections, your weekly access to politics and policy along the I-89 and I-91 corridors and how it impacts our region. If you have a comment or an idea for a future show, please email me. And please join us again at the same time next week for another edition of Capital Connections.